Hello and welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is a really important one: How to Manage a Family Member with Dementia. And our expert guest, she's author Lisa Skinner. She's a behavioral specialist with expertise in Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. In her 30 plus year career working with family members and caregivers, Lisa has taught them how to successfully navigate the many challenges that accompany this heartbreaking disease. Lisa is both a certified dementia practitioner and also a certified dementia care trainer through the Alzheimer's Association. And she also holds a degree in human behavior. So, Lisa Skinner, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for that very warm welcome and introduction, Rico, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks
well,
for having me.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the work that you do. I know this is becoming really a major problem with so many people here. So this is something that really needs to be addressed. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. So how about we start with just real briefly tell us how you originally got involved with this.
Well, my backstory started about 50 years ago. I was a teenager, and I lived very close to my maternal grandmother. She lived a
Mhm.
few miles from the home I grew up in with my family. And so I visited her often. And I had just gotten my driver's license. So I told my mom, I'm going to drive over to grandma's and show off my driver's license and my newfound independence. So I went over there and she invited me in. I went over regularly just for, to visit. And we sat down in her living room. And no sooner had we sat down, she started telling me about these birds that lived in her mattress and that they
Uh-oh.
came out at night and pecked at her face. And
Wow.
she was terrified and couldn't sleep and she didn't know what to do about it. And then she proceeds to point to her walls and asks me, Do you see those? Do you see those? And I'm looking, it's like, I'm not sure what she's talking about. But she said, You don't see all those rats running all over my
Mm.
walls and all over my living room floor? And she says, Oh my God, they're invading my house.
So Lisa,
And
I don't want to take up too much time with this story, but anyway, so your grandmother got dementia, and so you wanted to do something to help her. Is that how you got
well, then
started?
since then, I've had seven more family members
Oh,
who
okay.
have, yeah. And when I got my degree in human behavior, I was deciding what I wanted to do as a career, and I just kind of stumbled into a community counselor position for
Oh, okay.
memory care, people who lived with dementia, and it was the perfect fit for me. So to date, I've been helping families for about 30 years.
Yeah, so tell us how big of a problem is that? What would you say percentage of people are actually getting dementia these days? And when does it usually start for most people?
So, quite frankly, and this is a really good time to talk about this topic. Globally, we are in the midst of another health crisis
Yeah.
that most people aren't even aware of. It is projected that the number of people who will develop Alzheimer's disease worldwide will triple from the number of people who live with it today.
Wow.
And as a society, we're absolutely not prepared to take
Mhm.
care of them or so this is really a critical time. To date, we don't even know what causes Alzheimer's disease yet, let alone have a treatment or a cure. So if we don't, and by this is all supposed to take place by the year 2050. So if we do the math real quickly, that's short 25 years away. That the
Yeah.
number of people who will develop this disease is expected to triple.
Wow. That's not good news. So we definitely got to get more information. There is a lot of research. There is a lot of people that I'm familiar with that are doing things that have been that are giving some success, reversing it, and we are finding out more and more different things. What different possibilities with toxins and things that are causing this. But that's a good thing, though. Our science is expanding really quickly too. So hopefully they'll catch up and all that. All right, so talk about a little bit about how you begin to help people. what are what talk about some of the major challenges that people have with being a caregiver?
In the 30 years that I've been helping families, counseling them and teaching them, the very necessary skills for communicating with people who can no longer communicate with us, the number one observation that I have made, the common denominator for most people, is they don't have a real clear or comprehensive understanding of what exactly is happening to the brains
Mhm.
of the people that they love and or the people that they're caring for. Most people associate this illness with pretty exclusively with memory loss and confusion, but it is so much more complex than that. And just to kind of give you a couple examples, the stories that I started to tell you about my grandma, what
Mhm.
I was witnessing with the birds living in the mattress, that's what we call a false belief or a delusion.
Oh
This
yeah.
is very, very common in people who live with
Mhm.
dementia. The
Right.
rats are an example of her having a hallucination, believing that she's seeing something that wasn't really there. There are
Right.
so many other behavioral expressions that come up as a result of the damage being done to the brain as a result of Alzheimer's disease and some of these other brain diseases that cause similar symptomology um, that people aren't aware of. So, to answer your question, it has to start with really understanding what to expect and how to recognize that if you go to your grandma's house and she starts telling you about birds living in her mattress or rats running all over her house, this is a sign of dementia being
Yeah.
caused by a brain disease like Alzheimer's or frontotemporal dementia or Lewy body dementia. That is where it needs to start. And then after you have a better idea of what to expect, and how to recognize these symptoms that show up unexpectedly as a result of the changing brain, and how to effectively respond to false beliefs, how to effectively respond to the hallucinations that you'll see, and all the other behavior signs and symptoms that accompany a brain disease like Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, talk about. I know you have a new training course for people coming up. So talk a little bit about that, what that's all involved, and how it can really make a difference and really help people get prepared and what they need to do to be a good caregiver.
The goal and the intention of me writing this 6 module course, so it's about 6 to 7 hours long total, is to accomplish exactly what I was just talking about. It gives people a real fundamental understanding of what to expect if they've recently had a dementia diagnosis with a loved one, if they're caring for somebody. And then it expands to me teaching them skills, strategies, techniques, how to respond to all the things that will eventually challenge you. And it can be used as a personal roadmap while you are going through this journey with your loved one or caring for somebody. You'll have it to, fall back to and, refer to as a resource to help guide you along this journey that you're on with your person.
Yeah, that sounds so good. And they can find this on your website, mindingdementia.com, right? And we'll
Right.
put all that information in there. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. If you are concerned about that or you already begin to deal with it, you definitely want to get some help. You don't have to be out there on your own. Uh, how about some? What would you recommend people do if they all of a sudden begin to start to suspect that something's going on with their parents? What should they
That's a
do
great
first?
question. And it's probably one of the most often asked questions I get. and it would relate to somebody's parents or to themselves. I can't tell you, Rico, how many people that will come up to me after I speak at a, conference or something like that, or an event. They stand in line and kind of whisper to me, I'm afraid I might be developing Alzheimer's disease because of this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
So, and it is statistically, this is a true statistic. It is the number one most feared condition that people are afraid of developing starting at about at age 55.
Yeah.
Everybody has it on their mind that they might be developing Alzheimer's disease or one of the other known brain diseases if they start, periodically forgetting things, misplacing their keys, putting their phone down and don't remember where it is, walking into a room and then all of a sudden thinking, now, why did I come in here? I mean, that happens to me all the time. These are perfectly normal parts of what we call the normal aging forgetfulness process.
So that
And it's
doesn't necessarily mean that you just, if you get a little forgetful, you're not necessarily in the first stage of dementia. Not necessarily, right?
not at all, not at
Okay,
all.
good.
What really raises red flags to where we should start to become concerned is if the memory hiccups, that I call them, start to happen more frequently and become more severe, and to the point where they are actually interfering in a person's ability to function on a daily basis.
Right.
That is the point where we really need to get a professional medical opinion.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
there is a new blood test that just came out. It's
oh,
available on a limited basis that can actually detect whether or not somebody is developing Alzheimer's disease up to 20 years before the symptoms show up. So that has now just recently become available, and early diagnosis really is important
yeah, that's
where we haven't had that capability. The symptoms don't noticeably show up in people till they're already well into the mid stage of the disease.
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's been a huge handicap for us being able um, to kind of catch it early enough to make a difference.
Well, that's some good information. I hadn't heard about that. Well, Lisa, we're just out of time. So, again, thank you so much for being here and for your great information, for all the work that you're doing. And so I highly recommend that if you have some concern in this regard, you definitely want to check out Lisa's new course, and we'll put all that information in the show notes. So thank you very much for being here, Lisa, and thanks to all of our audience.
Thanks so much for having me, Rico. It was a great pleasure.